There we go. Hello, and welcome to our team office hours. And I just realized I have the Twitch channel also open, so I was hearing myself. There we go. Alrighty. Welcome to the Resonite Art Team office hours. I'm Aegis Wolf of the Resonite Art Team, and I'm just here in the all-in-progress version of the tutorial world. Here to answer questions about the platform itself, the creative process behind it, whether it be making content, either using the platform as a tool to make for things outside of the platform or making stuff for Resonite itself. I got chat here, and yeah. Hopefully folks are able to hear me. Good. Just checking my audio. Got quite a bit done the past few days as well too. Still got a lot that we're working on, and the meanwhile, we're doing what we can to polish up and refurbish these worlds for new users to come in to help find things that they need or learn about the platform itself. One of the things I did want to bring in here as well is a updated model set of the tools themselves. Originally, they were using, figured I'd showcase this here too for the VOD, that the original tools were baked in Substance Painter and has like a lot of different texture sets on each tool. So say if you have multiple tools spawned out, that'll mean a lot of different materials, a lot of textures that people would have that would be, well, rendered on their system or saved in their memory. And I went through and touched up every single tool and redesigned a couple of them how they look in regards of making the tools more optimized by using the shared textures of the art style that we have. The camera that is being projected also has like that baked texture look, and I think would be a good thing to overhaul in the future. But the textures that the updated tools will have will share the same textures as the building platform I'm standing on and many other things in the assets we've made so far. And it looks pretty much mostly the same. There's a little bit of tweaks here and there, visual adjustments, as well as the mechanics will be updated as well of these tools. Where the multi-tool right here, instead of being able to just switch using the radio menu, that radio menu will have like a option set for the multi-tool, where you'll be able to take the tips off and put it back on like a power tool, and every time you put a new tool in, it can go into like a container or pool of different tools within it that you can swap through using like a swapping method. As well as making it so that anybody can interface with this multi-tool system by just making their own handles or their own tools. It's just utilizing the not spatial variables, that's new, but dynamic variables on the tools as well. And I notice we already have a question here in the chat. Welcome, Elephant Fant, I remember. Welcome into the chat. They ask, what is the percentage of performance improvement between the old tools and the new one you're working on? As the old ones at launch were just way too heavy. So how did you improve these, and what are the final test results? Now, in regards of test results, it's not really been tested yet. More or less, if people have all these different tools on the multi-tool, which is pretty much every single tool at once. Not everyone is going to use every single tool at once, but also that would mean, say if they did want it, that would mean multiple sets of textures, which would add up memory and multiple different sets of protoflux, say anything that animates any part of it, sound effects, the whole sort. A way of like just making it so that you can change out what kind of tools you have on there on the fly and any like custom ones. Say if you make a brush set for any of the brushes within Resonite. So you have a brush that draws one way and then one that draws another way. You can have like a multi-tool in regards of a brush as well. Because brushes are just another type of tool. It's not anything else special other than the fact that it's a tool that draws mesh or particles depending on what it is. And that's one way of optimizing it, as well as seeing if there's any new ways of doing each of like the different functions within the tools, as well as kind of unifying the style, making sure it utilizes the trim textures that we have, not only for performance but also to kind of match the look. So there's some I do want to showcase too as well. The ones that have been drastically changed visually. Now this one right here, actually let me get the old version of this tool. This one is a update to the mesh hider tool. Let me kind of compare these a little bit here. Wanted to get something that is more visually interesting. And if people are wondering what this tool does, you're new to Resonite, let me get a box here to kind of, or actually better demonstration is the platform I'm on. If I point at, say, these railing here, I just made this platform disappear. It's still there. Like I can walk on it, then I can make it visible again. And that's what it does. It hides and unhides the mesh or renderer. Now the new tool is simply just a visual overhaul. The only main difference is that, other than some sound effects and such, that's one of the other things we're going to be adding throughout the tools over time. It started with the Gaussian Splat tool, where it has a lot of different interactions, whether it be haptics or sound effects. I did turn down my sound effects locally. There we go. This was one of the first experiments of updating the tools to the new style as well too, where it uses all the trim sheet textures within it. Main design ideas for the new mesh hider tool visual was just simply just projectors floating around a cube that looks like it's being cloaked. So I'll be messing around with a refract shader on that later. And one of the only other tools that has a bit of a change visually was the grabbable setter tool. Now it's mainly been updated so that the actual little arms can actually rotate. Figured that'd be a neat little touch here. If I hide the tools, actually I'll just keep the dev tool for now. I can swap out the tool handles real quick, and it's just simply just making visuals. Man, I can speak today. Different visuals of these multi-tools, pretty much showing that anybody will be able to potentially make their own multi-tool handles or tools themselves. Some of the other things that has been worked on lately has been polishing up the skybox that is around us. It's almost to the point where we're able to, or it pretty much is in the point where you're able to take all these elements in the skybox and place it into another world, and then you set the lighting, and it'll just work with the lighting and the night and day effects where, say, if you bring in the firefly particles that we've made, they'll pop out at night. The lights that are on the islands in the distance. Actually, I should change my POV here and mess around here. I'm gonna showcase some of the inner workings of this. And please note, those that are watching, if you have any questions at all about content creation, about Resonite itself, what we've been doing, I may not be on the technical side of things. That's usually on Sundays or Tuesdays, with being on Sunday and Prime being on Tuesday. I can showcase how this all works here. I'm gonna go into the world root here, see all the different pieces of the tutorial world, and we'll crack open the Dawn Sky. Well, let's take a look at that island over there. It's usually under elements, islands. Ah, it seems to be the first one. Now, the visuals on this is being driven by a material that turns on and off depending on the day and night. So it should be distant islands. There we go. Well, here's a good example. This is all the different crystals on the little islands there. It's also being driven. It simply has a dynamic variable, and it drives this value gradient driver here. And depending on its values, it changes the emissive map color. Now, the neat thing about how we set up this skybox is you're able to basically drag and drop each of these elements in. Say if you have the base skybox with all the variables set. None of the floating islands, ships, towers, or even the wildlife and all that, it will still interface if you spawn them out individually and install them into your skybox, because it shares the same dynamic variables. We also changed how the variables are named as well for those world creators out there. We'll make a wider post when we update the assets and uh, release them for people to use. Yeah. Keep chat with me too. But I do hear the notification when it pops up. Now, one of the latest things we've updated and added to are these towers over here. New particle systems. As well as also making these. Where are the variables again? Okay, there we go. It's on the root. Oh, don't delete it. Deselect. There we go. Can adjust the variables here, how fast it recharges, and the time offset as well, so you don't have to have all the towers fire at once. Or less some of the optimizations that we're doing or updates that we're doing in general, are not just optimizations, but also making it easier for folks to mess around with the stuff that we create and place them in their own worlds. Seems to be a bit quieter day today. That's alright. I'll just end up fiddling around with Photoflux or the tools or so. I'm gonna try to find the type of the tools in the meantime. There we go. I think some of the things to add to this new tool set is a way to color the tool handle the color of the base tool or the accent colors of it. Because originally some of these tools had like different color accents depending on what it is. Because each tool has been designed to look unique from one another so that no tool is the same. And not only changing like the shape of it, but also the colors as well. And what might be a good idea as well is going through and recategorizing the tools as well, or updating them if need be. May have to poke Ravy about this later. They are also part of the art team as well as the engineering team, kind of bridging the gap between the two. I gotta figure out a way to set up more, either like tutorials or showcases of different mechanics or different features of Resonite itself during the streams. But lately, I've just been busy working on a lot of things, whether it be the 3 worlds that we've been setting up, the updating the tools. Well, pretty much that's part of it because the Cloud Home has the tools as well. They're scattered around on the desk inside the main part of the Cloud Home for people to mess around with. One thing that I do want to showcase as well, or I'm not sure if I already did it last week as well. It's one of those days, isn't it? I gotta check the notes that we've been looking at. Okay, good. A question. This one from Modify ARG. Do you know when the chain is going to be updated? I saw the GitHub issue. The content team was assigned for that. Font chain. It's a matter of priority, and with like I've been was saying a little bit earlier, there's a lot of things we've been doing pretty much at once. There's a lot of GitHub issues that have been queuing up that specifically deal with the Cloud Home and tutorial and all that. But this seems something that is more general. I can definitely take a look after the stream or even during it real quick. Chain. To answer your question as well, okay, 3154. Oops. latest comment on that is they plan to add a system that dynamically updates the default fonts. That way we can switch over to this system and not require manual updates. But just like us, he hasn't had the time yet as well too. So technically it's not on me. And manually updating font chains in the default system does require maintenance right now. And if it's like in a... say if somebody modifies it in another world, that means it's not the default font chain, and they'll have to either swap it on their end to the default font chain, and at that point it would have to be manually updated on the other user's end. But yeah, in that case, if it's assigned to us, but it's a content issue, but also coding issue, I also see a comment about doing it manually at the moment. And it's a matter of just getting time to updating them. Okay. There we go. I should move this menu over here. There we go. Modify ARG has another question. How many done assets did you finish already? If it's in general, then that's probably a few hundred, or a couple of hundred. If it's counting each individual piece of like the building structures, but recently it's all the different tools, so I'd say like 20, 24 different assets. Ah, there we go. I've been meaning to update the textures within here. There we go. Oh, there's a material I can borrow the texture from. something else. I realize we're gonna have to make those towers and other sound effects silent whenever this mode is active. There we go. Modify ARG has another question, this time about materials. Do you know how to make a refract material and ignore another material? Now let's get a material tool out and create new filters. Refract. Okay, right now is not a... or right here is not a good example, because there's a lot of shader rendering offsets messed around with here. Wait, what can I... there we go. That's better. I'm not too familiar with exactly how this works, but I do know that messing around with the Z-test, Z-write, stencil ID, and render queue all changes the different like rendering values on this. Now, not only you have to mess around with the refract material, you may have to, if it's a specific material you want it to ignore, you may have to change its order offset or render order not magnitude, was it? Say if it's an unlit material. Okay, it was the offset factor and offset units, as well as the render queue. Though there might be documentation on this on Unity's end, since we're still using Unity as a rendering engine. I know there's extensive documentation on the previous metallic. At least on our wiki. Yeah, I recommend checking out those resources. Wait. Oh. I did that again. Keep on forgetting if this is attached to me. It's usually where my multi-tool swapping is. And it just clears it. Although I do have all the chat messages still on Streamlabs, so I still see everyone's comment on there. Although any new messages will still pop up. And there we go. we go. At the current moment, to answer the question that modified ARG asks, is it better to have multiple mesh renders on the same mesh or just stacking the materials? It is better to have multiple mesh renders or simply just add the say if you make another mesh overlay in Blender, like as another material over the mesh currently. It's another way of doing it. So it's all on one mesh render, but you're essentially rendering two meshes at the moment. Material stacking or material blending, that's something that's gonna be in the future, but one of the reasons why we're not updating our current Unity rendering stuff is mainly to avoid having dependence on it. Mm. Mm. Okay. Now I see where I went wrong with setting these cylinders up. Yeah. Hmm. change that. Zero 75. That looks much better. There we go. Let's mess around with the materials here a bit more. Maybe just leaving it as is for that one might be better. There's the... There we go. That should work. Changes I just did to the local home visuals there will also be in the general local home as well too. But that would mean technically 4 different worlds that the art team has been updating. Do a quick progress save. And I just realized I saved the new tools in here. Oh well. We'll save it again after. And I saved the chat. Okay. Still seems to be a quieter day today. Let's go to the Resonite Essentials real quick. There we go. Let's make it darker. This will probably be the last thing I'll be editing and modifying. I call it the day for the stream. Just going through since this is something that Cyro helped out a little bit. We added a nice HDR based gradient to the essentials and started adding it to the different things that we have that use an older version of the gradient. The old gradient is still in the essentials. It's just the new one is also in the essentials as well too. Okay, those use are for now. Ooh, could update this right here too. Well, that is much nicer. That is also much nicer. There we go. Let's update this. There we go. Well, there's the small one. Which one? Here. Okay. Now that these assets have been updated, I shall save them in the essentials. There we go. And clear these out. And await until all these assets are synced, and delete the old ones, and they shall be available to everyone. That should be good sun position. Alrighty. While all these objects are now being saved, I'm gonna start I'm gonna start closing down the stream. Seems to be a more quieter week or Wednesday this week, but alas, still got some stuff even during stream done. But definitely every Wednesday there is an art office hours. Every Tuesday, Prime does his prime time office hours on Discord. Brooks and Cyro usually do theirs on Sundays, and Veer and Git does theirs also on Sundays for moderation office hours. But other than that, every Wednesday, same time usually when I start here is when we do the art team office hours. And I think it's all synced, so means I'll base out the old versions of those assets, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening or morning, depending on where you are, and take care. There we go.